What if I told you that the battle between David and Goliath was not just a fight between a shepherd and a giant, but a confrontation that shaped the fate of entire nations? That ancient text hint at the deeper, hidden truth that has been overlooked for centuries. Tonight, we uncover the shocking reality behind one of the Bible's most famous duels, a story of deception, strategy, and divine intervention unlike anything you've heard before. The Israelites stood frozen, their spirits shattered. For 40 days, a monstrous warrior emerged from the Philistine camp, taunting them, challenging them. Goliath was more than just a gigante, was a symbol of dominance, a towering war machine bred for destruction. Some say he stood over 9 feet tall, his armor gleaming in the sun like the gates of a fortress. His spear alone was heavier than a grown man could carry, and his shield-bearer walked before him as a living wall of protection. The Philistines laughed. The Israelites trembled. No man dared step forward. Not even Saul, the king himself, a man chosen for his own great stature, could find the courage to face Goliath. Then came David, a mere shepherd, too young to be a soldier, too small to wear armor. But what no one knew was that David had been preparing for this moment his entire life. Ancient scrolls suggest that David wasn't just an ordinary shepherd boy, was a warrior in training. The wilderness had been his battlefield. He had fought off lions and bears with nothing but his sling and his faith. But there was something else, something few talk about. David wasn't aiming to fight Goliath in a traditional battle. He was planning something different, something calculated. He saw what others failed to see. Goliath was slow. He was strong, but he was heavy, weighed down by armor. And perhaps most importantly, Goliath had a weakness. The Philistine had spent his life fighting warriors in close combat, using brute force and intimidation. But David had no intention of coming close. He had a different weapon, one the Philistines had never faced in a duel like this: speed, precision, and a sling. Not a child's toy, but a deadly weapon used by ancient warriors with terrifying accuracy. In the right hands, a sling could strike with the power of a bullet, and David's hands had mastered it. As he stepped forward, the battlefield fell silent. His brothers watched in horror. The Philistines sneered. Goliath, insulted that a mere boy had come to challenge him, bellowed in rage. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He cursed David by his gods and promised to feed his flesh to the birds. But David did not waver. He reached into his pouch, selecting a single smooth stone. He whispered a prayer, then raised his sling. Goliath lunged forward, expecting a desperate charge, but David didn't move toward him. He stayed back, kept his distance. He began to swing the sling, faster and faster, until the air itself seemed to hum. And then, in a flash, he released it. The stone flew faster than the eye could track. It found its mark, sinking deep into the giant's forehead with a sickening crack. Goliath's laughter was silenced. His body froze. For a moment, it seemed impossible. Then, the impossible became reality. The great Philistine champion staggered, his massive form swaying like a felled tree, and then he fell. The ground trembled beneath him. Silence gripped the battlefield. The Philistines, stunned, stared in disbelief. Their invincible warrior had been slain by a boy, but David wasn't finished. He ran forward, climbed onto Goliath's fallen body, and drew the giant's own sword. With one swift motion, he severed his head. Blood soaked the earth. The Israelites erupted into cheers. The Philistines, overcome with fear, turned and ran. What had once been a hopeless war was now a decisive victory. King Saul watched in awe, but deep down something troubled him. Who was this boy? He had seen many soldiers, but none like David. And as the young shepherd-turned-warrior lifted Goliath's head high for all to see, Saul realized something terrifying. This was no ordinary boy. This was the future king of Israel, and for the first time, Saul felt something he had never felt before: fear. David's story did not end that day. It was only the beginning. The boy who killed a giant would soon find himself at war with the very king he had served. Betrayal, exile, and prophecy awaited him. But in that moment, as the sun set over the battlefield, one truth was clear. History had been changed forever. But what many don't realize is that Goliath was not the only giant David would face in his lifetime. The Bible speaks of others warriors from Gath, the land of giants, who sought vengeance for Goliath's death. Years later, David and his mighty men would encounter more Philistine giants, each as fearsome as the one he had slain. One of them, Ishbi-benob, wielded a spear so massive it was said to weigh 300 shekels of bronze. He sought to kill David, to end the legend of the giant slayer once and for all. And for the first time in his life, David found himself at the mercy of a giant. He had grown older, no longer the fearless boy who had faced Goliath. His strength had faded. And just as Ishbi-benob raised his spear to deliver the final blow, one of David's warriors, Abishai, intervened, striking down the giant and saving the king's life. It was then that David's men swore an oath. "You shall not go out to battle with us anymore, lest you quench the lamp of Israel." David's journey was far from over. He would rise from a shepherd to a warrior, from a warrior to a fugitive, and from a fugitive to a king. He would conquer Jerusalem, establish a kingdom, and pave the way for the lineage that would one day bring forth the Messiah. But it all began on that battlefield with a single stone, a single moment of faith. The story of David and Goliath is not just about an underdog defeating a giant. It is about seeing beyond the impossible, about faith stronger than fear, about the power of a single act of courage to change the course of history. And that is why, thousands of years later, the story of a shepherd boy and a fallen giant continues to inspire the world. Want to hear more Bible stories? Then subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and share this video so more people can learn these stories.